What's up, everybody? So today in this video I'm going to be showing you the new Airtable view, the Gantt view. This was previously an app. They moved it into the views, hoping to see more of those as my fellow OpenSiders from the Onto Air Slack group, as we all hope they would move some more apps into the view section. But for now, we're going to have to stick with the Gantt view. So I'm excited to show you that view today and give you the tutorial. And we're going to create a 90-day sprint session. So if you haven't familiarized yourself with that yet, then I would Google search what a sprint session is, but it's basically a 90-day sprint to complete some goals. And so I'm going to be setting that up in Airtable and showing you all the process around that. If you haven't met me before, my name is bengreen. I'm the owner of optimizeis, and what we do is we help business owners, probably just like you, help them optimize their information systems. So that's stuff like Airtable for now, strategy, or the CRM or asset management, Asana for project management, Slack for communications, Toggl for time tracking, and Zapier to connect all the systems together. So if you are interested, you can check out the link in the description, request a consultation from me or someone on my team. But without further ado, we'll get right in the video now. So as you can see, we are in the Airtable base, and I just created this. It's starting from scratch. So we'll come up here and we'll say, well, this is going to be the Gantt tutorial. So that's all it's going to be, and maybe we'll pick icon up here. So this will be checkboxes. I don't know. So this is going to be the Gantt tutorial. If I move myself from over here, we can see that there's this new view over here, the Gantt view. And so I'm going to leave myself over there, and I'm just going to quickly delete all these. So now we have a pretty clean database here. We just have one table up here. And so this is going to be our 90-day sprint. So we're going to say 90-day sprint. And so now what we need to do is I know for the Gantt, so we'll just actually open the Gantt view and see what we need in here. So to set up the Gantt view, this is going to be the 90-day sprint. And we might separate these up into different Gantt views with 30-day sprint, second 30-day sprint, like month 1, month 2, month 3. So what we need is we need a field name, we need the date format, and so this is just asking for a date field. So I believe we need 2 date fields, which is what I was trying to get at. But we're just going to go we can create those in here. So if you want to just add the Gantt view, but you don't have the field set up for it yet, it'll walk you through that process. So we'll do that here. So we don't need times because these are going to, what we're going to be tracking here. What a Gantt view shows you, I should have said this before, but a Gantt view shows you this is the timeline for this part of this project. This is the timeline for the second part of it. And this second part of it can only happen after this first one, or it's related to that one. So you can sort of show the timeline, the progression of a project over time. And so it's really amazing. So we're going to be creating that here. So this is, we'll just create start date. And so you have a start and an end date for each little bar in the Gantt. And then we'll also have the end date with the same configuration as the start date. So that is perfect. And so now we have row height, short or medium. Maybe we'll leave medium in here. And I'll move myself back over here. And for the label field name, that's good. And milestones, we'll set up some milestones. So we'll add milestones in here later. But for now, we can exit out of that. And I can click done over here because we don't have any dependency fields yet. So if we now come back into here, I'm going to basically set up, let's say we will set up 6 or 9 timelines in here. So the first one is going to be, we'll say this is project 1. So in your 90-day sprint planning session, what you want to be keeping track of is you set a goal that's 1 quarter out. So prior to that, you have your yearly goals. To hit your yearly goals, what do you need to do in the next quarter to be on pace to hit your yearly goals? And so now you have your quarterly goals. So in the next 90 days, what are the projects that I need to have happen to hit my quarterly goal? Because it's really just these little chunks build up over time so that you can hit your yearly goal. So project 1 is going to be the first thing, and basically we're just going to have 9 projects in here. So project 2, and I'm just going to add 9 projects in here right now. Awesome. So the reason why I picked 9 projects was because 9 is you can divide 90 by 9 and it gives you a nice pretty number. So what we're going to do is we're going to say these are going to be our next 90 days. So we're going to say this is, currently it's March 3rd of 2021. And so we're going to say for Q2, so March 31st and on the next 3 months, so Q2 of 2021 is what we're going to set this up as. So if I go to April 1st and then I add 10 days to that, what we'll get is that date. And so, or I guess it'd actually be the 11th, but what you can do is you can add all these dates in here, and you could probably do it with like a date time add and add 10 days to the start date, but it's going to be confusing because it's not like Excel where you can set it up. So I'm just going to add the dates 10 days from the end date. That end date would be the start date of the next one, and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you all of these, and then we're going to also add some projects in here after I get done adding these dates. All right, so I just added all the dates, and roughly this is basically just a 3-month sprint. So it goes from the 1st of April to the last day of June, I believe. So what this is going to give us now is if we come back to our Gantt view, this is all you need. So you need your like primary field or whichever field is going to name your project. And then you're going to have your start date and your end date. So now if we come back to this 90-day sprint, we should see something pretty cool. So these are all perfectly lined up, and we can see them happen all over time. So I'll scroll over here and I'll zoom out a little bit so you guys can see all of these. But this is exactly what we wanted to see in here. So we can see each project, when it starts, when it ends. One thing we can't see quite yet is dependencies. So if we come back in here, if I'll zoom back in so you can see it a little bit better, but if we come back in here to our grid view, what we can do is we can add a linked record to this same table. So what you'll be doing is these will be called self-linking records. So these will be dependencies. And what you can do is you can just create a field linked to the same table that you're in. And so you won't need to add any lookup fields. That would be interesting. But basically what you'll do is you'll add dependencies. So project 2 is dependent on project 1. Project 3 is dependent on project 2. Project 4 is dependent on project 3. Project 5 is dependent on project 4, and so on and so forth. So we can just keep adding these in here until we get all the way to the end, and then I'll show you what that looks like once we add the dependent field in there. So now we're all the way at the end. Project 1 is not dependent on anything. It's actually, you could say it's dependent on the last quarter ending, which is just a date. So if we come in here now to the 90-day sprint, you won't see any changes. But if we now come in here and edit it, so we click settings up here at the top, and now we scroll down here and use a dependency field, instead of none, what we can do is we can check mark dependencies. So now you can see this chart has 8 invalid dependencies. So I'm going to go look into that because I don't remember this being an issue before. Okay, so I figured out that the invalid dependencies are caused, from my understanding, because of the dates here. So the trick is we have each one of these starting on the next project starts on the day that the last one ends. And basically you can't have that. They need to be truly dependent. This one would have to end on the 10th. So now if we come back to our Gantt view, we can see there's probably only going to be 7. Yeah. So this one is now valid. So if you set up the dates in the right way, and we'll see if we can just move this so that it's now valid. So now I guess that was a cool functionality that I did not even know existed in here. So in this Gantt view, if you move, it looks like if you move any of these, it'll space them out just that much further. So now you can see this one starts on May 4th, whereas this one ends on May 3rd. So it spaced all of those out, so it will help you out with errors. But now something to keep in mind is we probably are just a little bit over the 90 days, but that's okay. So that's what it looks like to have very sequential projects in here that go day by day. Now, if we want to come back here to the grid view and we want to add more projects in here, what that would look like is if we just added some more down here. So this might be project X, project X, project Y, and project Z. So maybe we have this like one really big goal for the quarter, and that's related to these projects up here. But we also have project X, Y, and Z to complete our other 3 goals for this quarter. It's not the main goal, but we also have these other 3 goals. And we'll say that maybe this one we want to happen from April 6th to April 21st. And that one's not going to be dependent on anything. But project Y, that one won't happen. That one will actually happen April 14th to, we'll say that one goes a while until like March 18th. And then project Z, we can also come in here for project Z and we can say that one won't happen until like June, and we'll say the 7th to the June, the 10th or the 11th. So we'll say all of that, and now we'll go back and look at this 90-day sprint view, and we'll be able to see what that looks like in here. So this is great. So now what you're seeing is you're seeing the combination or the aggregation of all of your projects for this next 90-day sprint. Now you could filter some of these out. So you could filter out, I'll show you that in a second, but right here you're seeing dependent tasks. So the yellow ones, like project 2 is dependent on project 1 happening. Project X, project Y, those are not dependent, but you can still see them in here, and these are all sorted. So like you can see them starting, you can see them kind of following the waterfall. These are starting based on the start date. So that's why it looks like such a nice waterfall. If you look at the start date, on the bottom side, it's a really nice waterfall. You can see project Z down here is nice and short. And if you want to add a dependency, you can add a dependency by dragging it looks like you can just drag this arrow and it will create that dependency. So now if we drag it backwards, it has that invalid dependency. I'm guessing because it is not going the right way. So if I come down here to the grid view now, we cannot see any, but okay, we can see it based on the different projects. So we can see project Z now has 3 dependencies. So this is great. It gives you the multi-functionality of adding them in either place, which is pretty great. So if you want to filter, maybe you have all of your projects in here, but you only want to see like these 90 days and all of them have either X, Y, or Z in them. You can also add filters in here to make sure that the name contains X, Y, or Z. So if I want to say X and then add an OR in here and say Y, and then add another OR in here and say Z, then what I can do now is I can come in here and we can see just project X, Y, and Z. This is the Gantt view for just those. So that's the introduction to the Gantt view. You can use those. I haven't played around with the grouping yet, but I'm sure you could put some single select fields in here and group them by like a certain project or whatever that looks like for you. You can start to play around with some of these, but this is a really cool functionality. Really excited that Airtable added this new Gantt view in here. And I'm gonna have to jump off because if you haven't heard, we have a room in Clubhouse. So every Wednesday at 7 p.m., which is in 7 p.m. Eastern time zone, we jump into Clubhouse and we go through just like talking as a community about Airtable, about things going on. So I'd highly encourage you to go there, comment in the comments section if you want invited to Clubhouse, or also put the link in there to my profile, and also Chris Dancy. We host it together. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want something set up like this in your business, you can always request a consultation from me or someone on my team. But without further ado, I highly encourage you to go check out the video in the end screen right there. It'll help you get a lot further in your business using Airtable or just in your personal life using Airtable. So I highly encourage you to go check that out. And without further ado, have a great day, and I'll see you there.